Hi everyone, this is my November reading wrap-up, and this month I read 3 books and they all were quite different but had some overlapping themes, so let's just get into it. Let's start with Migrations by Charlotte McConaughey. The novel follows Franny, who's a woman who's definitely going through it, and that's quite clear from the beginning. Now, one important thing to know about Franny is that she has this innate desire to leave, to flee, to just not stay put. And this impacts her relationships with a number of people that we learn about throughout the book. The novel is set in the not-so-distant future with climate change unraveling, and we see this come through as birds are going extinct in this novel. This novel alternates between Franny's current journey in trying to see the last migration of the Arctic terns and her flashbacks of key moments in her life. I listened to this as an audiobook and the narration was fantastic. Overall, I thought the pacing was quite quick, which I think lent itself well to an audiobook format. I found the overall writing quite haunting, and a part of that for me was how Franny's secrets came to light. When the secrets were revealed, it didn't feel like this aha moment. You kind of knew where things were going, and it just felt like this anticlimactic resolution, but not in a bad way. It was just something that was revealed that you then sit with as a reader. Franny is a complex character, and the other characters that are mentioned are quite complex as well. However, I felt that there were almost too many characters introduced and not enough development in some of the side characters. Now, I wouldn't say this is a feel-good book, but it's definitely not a feel-bad book. And there's something in the blurb that mentioned the possibility of hope against all odds. And I guess I would personally rephrase that as to finding moments or bits of hope in really hard situations. So for that and for the other reasons I mentioned, this was a solid 4.5-star read for me. The next book is The Plotters by Eunsu Kim, and I read the English translated version. It's originally a Korean book, and the translator was Sora Kim Russell. The novel follows Ressing, who's an assassin, and we get to follow Ressing's journey and learn more about his world. Now, I also listened to this as an audiobook, and I found the narration fantastic. So after I listened to this book, I wasn't really sure what to think. So I went on Goodreads and I started perusing what other people had written about this book, and it was actually Silvia Morena Garcia's review that struck a chord with me. Now, Silvia Morena Garcia is an author I really enjoy. She said, "There are 2 novels here," and that's exactly how I feel. The first part of the book, which we can call the first novel, felt like a character study of Ressing. Here we're really trying to understand his world, his motivations, his experiences, and his life as an assassin. Now, the second part of the book, or the second novel, feels more like a plot-driven mystery of sorts, and it honestly threw me off guard because it just didn't match the first part of the book to me. However, I think a big strength of this book and its writing is that the character of Ressing feels quite consistent throughout the whole novel. Now, while the mashup didn't work for me, especially the second part, I really enjoyed reading the first part of the novel and Ressing's characterization, so this was a solid 4-star listen for me. Now, up next is a book I absolutely loved, and I think this is a great example of a mashup done really well, and that is The Light from Uncommon Stars by Rika Aoki. Let me just read you this blurb. An adventure set in California's San Gabriel Valley with cursed violins, Faustian bargains, and queer alien courtship over fresh-made donuts. Yep, that is this book. So there are 3 main protagonists here, and I feel that they represent 3 different genres. There's Katrina, who's a young trans runaway, and we really get to see her coming of age unfold throughout this story. Then there's Shizuka Satomu, who has literally made a deal with the devil, so a classic Faustian bargain set up here. Then we have Lan Tran, as well as her family, and they're aliens, so we have sci-fi in this novel as well. The donuts and music play a prominent role in this book, and I feel like it was such an artful way to talk about connection, purpose, and pleasure. I enjoyed getting to know all 3 main protagonists in this book. They were complex, intriguing, and pretty funny at times. There is so much happening in this novel, but it comes together beautifully and it just works. This book was definitely a 5-star listen for me. Thank you if you made it this far. My phone actually died as I was wrapping up, so that's why it looks a bit different. But anyway, if you enjoyed this wrap up and would like to see more, there's another video here, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.